When I was about 12 years old, I remember reading this fascinating adventure story. The story begins with a group of people realizing that lots of strange things were going on around them. At first, they see that a day was just 6 hours long, and then they see that the sun had begun to rise in the west and set in the east. And even more strangely, people started jumping right up to the height of a tall hill before they fell right back to the ground, and they weren't even hurt. As even more strange events began to unfold, our little group of adventurers kept walking, and they soon met a Frenchman called Rosette. Rosette was the man who explained all the mystery to them. He showed something far out into the sky and he said, "Look there." And they all turned towards what he was showing and they saw the moon. And right next to it was another circular object. "That, my friends, is the earth," he told them. One of the adventurers in our group looked at him and he said, "Mr. Rosette, I think you're both old and French. Maybe you have some problem with English words like this and that? You see, this means right here. For example, we are standing on earth. This is earth." Rosette laughed aloud and he said, "My friend, my English is perfectly fine." And then he told them all that when they had been fast asleep, a comet called Gallia had brushed against Earth and carried away a chunk of it from an island near Gibraltar, and they were all happily floating into space on that comet right now. And they all wondered if they were going to die. And Rosette told them not to worry. You know what? The comet is on its path to go right back very close to Earth. And he said, "I have a brilliant idea. If we can all get to work and made a giant hot air balloon, we could jump right back on Earth when we are very close to Earth." And that is exactly what they did. And they all landed safely on Earth, someplace near Algeria in Africa. This is a story called Off on a Comet, written by Jules Verne. Interestingly, not very different from the Gallia, the comet in our story, a real comet has come back to make a trip close to Earth. It has come back after more than 50,000 years, and the last people who saw this green comet were the Neanderthals. But worry not, it is nowhere close to Gibraltar or anywhere on Earth. But one thing it certainly is. It is absolutely beautiful to see if you looked out of your window in the evenings during the first fortnight of February in 2023. Hi there, you're listening to What's New Today, a kids and family podcast. I'm your host Sangeeta, and in every episode, I'm joined by curious children from anywhere in the world to discuss one interesting news story. And to talk about today's story about this green comet, I'm joined by...
I am Aadya Singh and I'm 12 years old. I am in grade 7 and I live in Kolkata, West Bengal, India.
Hi everyone, my name is Luptha. I'm 11 years old. I live in the USA, in Ohio, and I'm a 5th grader. I go to New Albany Intermediate School.
Welcome Luptha and Aadya. It's such a delight to have both of you to talk about this interesting comet that has come Earth's way. But before we begin this news story, how about we begin this podcast show with a quick quiz? Would you like to take a stab at answering some of these really interesting trivia that I found? Shall we get started?
Yes.
Awesome. Question 1. Tell me if I'm serious or joking. Most comets have tails, but most asteroids have no tails.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Cool. Yep, that is correct. Second one. Comets, once they come and visit Earth, never come back. They don't like to visit a planet they've already been to or been near.
That's not true. Like the Halley's Comet, it visits after a fixed period of time.
Yeah, we're just joking.
I am just joking. Yeah, that's right. Halley's Comet, I think, comes to the Earth every 75 years or so. And the comet that we are going to talk about today is coming back to visit the Earth after 50,000 years. Third question, The first time people made telescopes, Galileo, I think, was the person who made the very first telescope. But after he made, a lot of people started using telescopes. The first people, or the first group of people who used these telescopes extensively were teachers who wanted to teach children in their classes about all the planets in the solar system. Or was it a group of merchants who were sailing on the seas and who wanted to use the telescopes to locate other ships on the sea? Which of this is correct?
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, if you had to take a wild guess, Luptha, which one would you go with?
Probably the teachers.
Aadya, what's your wild guess?
I'd go with the merchants.
Okay, the answer is the merchants.
Hello. Is that a ship there? Let's look into that telescope.
I know we're doing this recording a little before February 1st. So the entire period between the 1st and the 10th, if you take time out to just go out and gaze into the sky, are you guys likely to be excited to go out every day and see if you can see this comet?
Yeah, actually my sister's already telling me that we'll go and find that comet.
Yeah, same, because I really want to find the comet.
When can we see this comet?
The comet will be more visible to the people in the northern hemisphere and also in the southern hemisphere about 1st or 2nd February.
You're right, Aadya. It comes closest to the Earth on the 1st of February. What do people need to be able to see this comet, Luptha? Do they need some expensive telescope?
Well, people from the northern hemisphere could either use a telescope or binoculars.
Do you think they can just use their eyes? The naked eye would be visible?
They could see in their naked eye, but it would faintly be visible.
Yeah, that is true. The beauty of this comet is that you don't need any fancy piece of equipment to be able to see it. You can see it quite easily with just your naked eye. Does every comet have a tail?
I think not all the comets have tails. I'm not sure about that.
A comet is an icy rock and it's made up of gases. Like when it nears the sun, the ice and the gas heat up and that forms the tail that we see.
I have read somewhere that comets get two tails. A comet also has a lot of dust. Now, both the dust and the gases heat up as the comet comes closer to the sun. Do you know which of these reflects sunlight better? Is it the dust or the gases? You can take a wild guess if you don't know.
The dust?
Yeah, same as the dust.
You think the dust will reflect the light better, right? Absolutely right. Both of you right. Bright, glowing tail that we see is most of that light is the dust that is, reflecting as the sun's light falls on it. You'll also find a fainter tail, which would sort of be bluish in hue. That is caused by all the gases inside the comet heating up. Has either of you played with any objects that have phosphorescence, that emit phosphorescence light, and you take it inside a dark room, you turn off all the lights? Have you seen it emitting light?
Like a glow-in-the-dark object.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luptha, what kind of toys have you used that glows in the dark?
Like glow-in-the-dark slime. Glow-in-the-dark slime.
Okay. And what kind of color does it emit?
Green.
Well, I've used those wall stickers that glow in the dark and they too emit the green light.
So pretty much like that, right? The phosphorescence light that gets emitted in the dark, even when the gases inside a comet light up, that tail you see is a lot like the glow-in-the-dark toys that you all might have played with. When you go out at night to try and locate the comet in the sky, if you find two different tails, you can tell all your friends about which one comes from the dust and which one's coming from the gases. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be fun.
It would be really fun.
Wow.
Why are people so fascinated by comets? Why would you be fascinated at the idea of seeing a comet in the sky?
Why I would be fascinated? I would really like the tail because I think the tails are pretty.
Well, same. The tail is actually really fun to look at.
Yeah, it's a lot like seeing fireworks. Why do you think scientists like to study comets?
Well, if I were a scientist, I'd be fascinated by comets because, well, it's like a bunch of rock. It's like a rock. And rocks can be around from goodness knows when. So I could get really good answers about about the Big Bang and all. So that could be possible.
To learn like more things about space because comets are mysterious.
So one interesting trivia is that many scientists believe that when life on Earth first formed, right, there's a possibility that some comets did collide into the Earth's atmosphere. And that is the one that provided us with the molecules with which all the complex proteins that we all need, right, to grow, not just us, even the plants or the animals and all the microorganisms, they all need some kind of amino acids and proteins to grow, right? Many scientists believe that we could get all the building blocks to create these amino acids because some comets at some point in time, far, far, far away in the past, collided into the Earth's atmosphere. That's another reason why scientists are very fascinated. They want to know how can they help us in future, if we need to create life somewhere else, etc.
I have a question. Like, how do we know it was a comet and it was not an asteroid that hit us?
It's a fantastic question. I forget the name of the laboratory, but I think it's somewhere in Hawaii. They did an experiment there. They created a vacuum. In this vacuum that they had built in Hawaii, they put the same gases. And they also, I think, allowed a lot of rays that are very similar to the kind of rays that you would see in space. It could be from the sun, from the other stars, the kind of light rays. And they flooded all of that inside this vacuum space with these gases. And they observed what was going to happen there. And they saw that a lot of the molecules that lead to the creation of amino acids and sugars were developing inside that vacuum space.
Wow.
That was so interesting.
Is it? Okay, I'm so thrilled. Do you know if comets are considered good or bad in most mythologies?
I've read somewhere that comets are also considered like they bring evil tidings in some cultures. It's considered that.
Luptha, have you heard anything about it?
No, I haven't heard anything about it.
In Greek, Roman mythologies, as well as in some Indian cultures also, they believe that comets bring, I'm not sure if it's evil tidings, but they can definitely bring about big changes in the lives of rulers. I don't know if either of you have you heard of a movie, an Indian movie called Ponniyin Selvan, which came out recently?
Can you repeat the name?
Ponniyin Selvan.
No, I haven't heard.
It's based on a story. But the story starts with a lot of people who will see comets in the sky and they'll say, oh my God, now something's going to happen to our king or somebody in his family. And that's how the entire story starts. You might come across the significance of comets when you read stories with kings and queens. We'll move to the next interesting part of today's episode.
Quiz time.
Let's see how well you listened.
Question 1. Comets often have two tails. One with dust and one because of the gas is glowing. Which of these two tails is likely to glow brighter?
The dust tail is likely to grow brighter because dust reflects light better.
The gas tail resembles like glow in the dark toys.
Question number 2. When was the last time this comet that we're talking about came anywhere close to Earth for us to be able to see it easily?
The last time people saw it, it was when the caveman,
Yeah, Neanderthals lived. So that is 50,000 years ago. The last question. What are comets made of? Rocks or icy gases?
Well, they're largely made of icy gases.
Thank you so much for being a part of this recording. I really, really loved chatting with both of you. I hope you had as much fun as I had.
yeah.
Yeah, I loved it this time. Last time it was like nervousness.
In one word, if you had to describe the experience of listening to any podcast, not just What's New Today, any other podcast, what would that one word be?
Exciting.
Interesting.
I hope our listeners too found this episode exciting and interesting. And do get out there to see this comet. There are more than 12 comets that usually visit the Earth every year. So if you have missed the green comet, worry not. There's going to be another comet around the corner with its flashing tail for you to see. And also, if you enjoyed this banter between Luptha, Aadya and I, and if you find this a great way for you to catch up with the interesting news stories, do join our growing tribe of What's New Today podcast listeners every Monday and Friday. Click the follow and subscribe button so you're alerted when every new episode is released. And while you're at it, could I please request you to leave a rating and a review? That really, really helps us grow our listener base. We love to hear thoughts and comments from our listeners. Please do write in at hello@wsnt.in. And if you're a child between 6 and 16 and would like to feature on this episode as a co-host, follow us on our Instagram channel and you'll find out how to get on that bandwagon. And thanks for listening.